Hi there, my name is Kenneth Kragle and I'm an author and illustrator of picture books. And this week I have been working with Schuler Books to make these 5 videos, and this is the last one. Every day we have made a new part of this illustration. So on Monday we made the frame, and Tuesday we sketched out and drew the dog, and Wednesday we added the butterflies, and then yesterday we added the background and the foreground. And today we're going to paint. We're going to add the color. So before I start, I thought I would just show you. This is the cover of Wild Honey from the Moon. And you can see the way I did this is the same way that we have been making this illustration. So I started with pencil sketches, and then I drew, and then I put the marker line on there, and then I painted. And so we are on the last step of the process today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And of course, you don't have to paint. You could use whatever color you want, or whatever kind of coloring you want. Markers or crayons or oil pastels or watercolor. I'm just using watercolor because it's what I usually use to color things in. And I'm starting with the sky because usually when I'm trying to figure out what to start with, I like to start with something that I know what color it's going to be. So not that you always have to paint the sky blue, but I decided to for this time. And I use watercolor also because it goes well with ink. So with a marker, it kind of matches up nicely with that. The kind of watercolors I use are pretty similar to the watercolors you use at home or at school. Mine come in these little tubes here. They come in tubes like this. And then I just squirt, it comes out like toothpaste kind of, and then I just squirt them out into these little jars and add a little bit of water, and I get my my watercolor. When I paint, I start off very lightly, and like I said, I start with the parts that I know what color they're going to be, and that helps me to make the decision of what color I should make the other things. So in this illustration, the butterflies are, they could be a lot of different colors. And I'm not going to paint them until I have a few other things painted already. And that will give me an idea of what colors I think will work out well for them. And you probably noticed that I painted the frames already. I decided to do that to get a little bit of a head start. And I painted the frames in kind of darker colors because I'm going to add a lot of bright colors to this illustration. So I wanted there to be a nice contrast. All right. Let's add some green to the foreground. What we painted yesterday. And when I'm painting, I start light. I don't add a lot of color at first. And then the reason that I do that is it helps me, first of all, to decide what colors to paint everything. But it also helps me to, it gives me a little bit of time to figure out what things need more color and what things are good painted lightly. So sometimes it looks just right without too much paint on it. And other times you want it to be really rich in color, and so you paint it more. But it's hard to know that at first, so I like to go slowly when I'm painting. We'll do the mountains here purple. Now I'm starting to think about the butterflies here. I think we'll do those maybe in, oh, let's say some yellows and oranges. One of the tricks with watercolor is that if you're not painting on a flat surface, is that the paint likes to run down. So I have to be careful. Sometimes I end up turning my page around so that the paint is running a different way and it doesn't run into something I don't want it to. I hope your illustrations are coming along well. I'd love to see them. You can send them to me, let's see, at Kenneth Craigle on either Instagram or Facebook. It'd be fun to see how your projects are coming along. I should show you my paint brushes here. I use different, let me wipe the paint off so I don't get it on our painting. I use different sizes all the way up to this one. This big one I don't use very often. I use that sometimes if I need to wash the whole page in water or something. This bigger one I use just when I'm painting skies or some big area. And the rest of these, especially these two, I use all the time. And the one I use the most is probably the smallest one, actually. I use that not for what we're doing today, but for a lot of things. I find it works out really well. Okay, we're going to paint the dog brown. I was thinking I forgot I was going to paint the butterfly, but the dog needs to be painted too. Let's make it a reddish brown. So I'll put the brown paint, and while the paint is still wet, I'll add just a little bit of red. Like that. There. I like our dog. I've never seen a dog this long before, but I think it looks like a fun friend to have. Okay, like I said, we'll go ahead and do the, let's start on this big butterfly here. And I think what we'll do is we'll do orange, yellow, and then in between we'll make it a yellowish orange. So I'll start with the orange here. Orange is actually a color I don't have a tube of color for. I just mix yellow and red together. And that's something I'll bet you've done at home too. It's kind of interesting to see the different colors. You probably know your primary colors. Those are yellow, blue, and red. And then you can mix those colors and get secondary colors like green and purple. And what's the other one? Green, purple, and orange. The very color I'm painting right now. I forgot that. Okay. While my brush still has some orange on it, I think I'll go ahead and paint that. So mixing colors is a lot of fun too. I think it's a little easier to do with paint than it is with markers or crayons, but you can do it. The problem with markers is it can mess up your markers a little bit. You can kind of make them all turn kind of grayish brown or something. So I'm just going to paint a few of these butterflies here, and then we'll switch on to yellow. Okay, we'll switch back to yellow, and I think I'll paint these flowers here yellow as well. Now, normally when I'm painting a picture, I told you yesterday, it takes me a long time. I'll spend a whole week painting, and I almost always get to one point where I feel like the whole thing is just looking terrible and I'm not going to be able to save it. But usually I just keep working at it and it comes out. It comes out, I usually feel like, oh, that's okay. I guess it's going to be okay. And then sometimes I put it away and come back and look at it again maybe a week later or something, and then I'm happy with it. Not always. Sometimes I have to start over. But sometimes when I spend too much time staring at it, I start to get very critical. And then after I'm away from it for a little while, I feel better about it. Okay, we'll add some yellow to these butterflies here too. I imagine some of you have favorite colors of yours, of your own. Maybe one favorite color or a few different ones. I definitely do too. This is one of them. This is cadmium yellow medium, I think, and it's a color I've been painting with ever since high school, I think. Sometimes I feel like some of these colors are friends because I spend so much time with them. Okay, I see a few more butterflies we're going to add a little bit of yellow to. And then the rest, I'm going to use another favorite color now. This is called Indian yellow, and it's sort of a yellow-orange. That's what we'll paint this middle part here. I love this one. Everybody kind of has their own colors that they really like, and when you see them, they just make you happy. This is one of them for me. It's a nice, warm, bright color. And it's a nice in-between yellow and orange. All right, so there's that. Let's make some more of our butterflies. Give them some of this orange yellow. Okay, now I think we have one thing left, and that's our, I think we need to figure out what we're going to paint the bodies of the butterflies here. Let's, I think we should do that in green. I think we'll just add a nice green here. This particular green is called sap green. Another one of my favorites. Usually when you, my theory of color is if you use all the colors you like, they usually go well together. Not always, but that's what you call a palette, is your choice of colors. Okay guys, I think we're just about done here. Let's take a look and see if there's anything else we need to add. I think that's pretty good. I painted very fast, but I think we came out with a nice illustration here. So we have our frame, and then we have our foreground and our background. We have a lot of nice perspective. We worked hard to figure out how to draw the dog. It's the longest dog I've ever seen. I think that's kind of fun. So thank you so much for joining me. Feel free to share your photos with me, or your photos of your pictures with me. And I hope the rest of your time at home is fun and you make some wonderful art. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. Goodbye.